All right, let's just dive right in. Picture this. You're in a pretty high-stakes tech interview. It's all going great, and then the hiring manager leans in and asks the question, the one about your Agile experience. And your mind just goes blank. How do you actually build an answer that sounds confident, covers all the bases, and proves you know your stuff? Well, let's break down the perfect formula to absolutely nail that answer every single time.
And there it is, the big one. Can you discuss your experience with Agile? It sounds so simple, right? But this question is specifically designed to weed out the people who've just read the theory from those who've actually lived it. Honestly, your answer here can make or break the entire interview.
You know, the secret isn't just what you say, it's also how you start. So let's look at the perfect opening line that immediately shows confidence and really it puts you in control of the conversation from the get-go. Just look at how simple this is. This is your opener. It's direct, there's no ambiguity, and it sets this really powerful positive tone. You're not hesitating at all. You're just stating your experience as a fact right from the start. By starting out this strong, you're not just answering the question. You're kind of subtly priming the interviewer for what's next. You're hinting at the core pillars of Agile, incremental delivery, being able to adapt, and great collaboration. This whole thing frames the rest of your answer and shows you get the why behind it all. Okay, so the biggest mistake you can possibly make here is just rambling on and on. You need a structure. And the best way to do that is to tell a story. And you can use the Scrum process itself as your guide. So let's walk through that 5-step story right now. And this slide, it just lays out our path perfectly. These 5 ceremonies, they're the backbone of any real Scrum project. So by walking the interviewer through each one, you're not just listing off tasks, you're building this clear, logical story about your hands-on experience. Let's kick it off with step 1. First up, sprint planning. You'd say something like, so our process always began with sprint planning. We worked in 2-week sprints where we'd break features down into user stories, estimate them with story points, and, this is the most important part, we'd define really clear acceptance criteria. Then, you just nail the benefit. This was absolutely essential for avoiding scope creep. Okay, moving on to step 2, daily stand-ups. Explain what they're for. Something like, every single morning we had a quick 15-minute stand-up, we'd sync on what we did yesterday, what we're doing today, and any blockers. And again, you connect it right to the value. This created total transparency and let us solve problems incredibly fast. Step 3 is where the real work happens. Development and testing. Here, you want to talk about quality. Mention your team's definition of done, that a task isn't really finished until it's coded, tested, and fully validated. And definitely highlight that crucial early collaboration between your developers and the QA team. Next up, the sprint review. This is not just a status update. It's a huge opportunity for feedback. You'd explain it like this. At the end of every sprint, we held a review session to demo our completed work to all the stakeholders. This shows that you get how important that feedback loop is, getting input early to make sure you're actually building the right thing. And the final step, the sprint retrospective. This is where you show you're all about growth and improvement. You can frame it like, the sprint cycle always wrapped up with a retro, where we'd have an honest chat about what went well and, what didn't. From that, we created real action items for the next sprint. And the key result? Continuous improvement of the team. Okay, so you've laid out the framework beautifully, but now you gotta make it real. Theory is great, but a solid, concrete example is what's gonna make your answer totally unforgettable and prove you've actually done the work. Pick a specific feature you worked on. It doesn't have to be some massive thing, just something you can talk about clearly. For example, in one sprint, I actually owned a backend validation feature from the planning stage all the way through to the final demo. Highlighting that sense of ownership, that's incredibly powerful. Now you just connect this specific example right back to your 5-step story. So I broke that feature into smaller, manageable stories during planning. I made sure to coordinate with QA super early to get test cases ready. I delivered the code incrementally, and then I successfully demoed the fully working feature at the sprint review. See how that just brings the whole thing to life? And then you deliver the punchline, the measurable result. And the result of this whole process was that we completed the feature with 0 spillover into the next sprint. A single powerful number like 0 is just so much more impactful than saying it went well. So why is this whole 5-step structure plus a real example so dang effective? It's because it systematically checks off all the boxes of what a hiring manager is actually trying to figure out without one simple question. Let's just look at this checklist. With your answer, you've proven you know the ceremonies, you've emphasized team collaboration, you've shown you can take ownership, you've demonstrated how the process lets you adapt, and most importantly, you've backed it all up with real hands-on experience, not just some textbook definition. It's the whole package. And hey, if you ever need a super short version, this right here is your golden ticket. This one sentence sums up the entire philosophy. It hits on delivering stuff in increments, collaborating well, and always getting better. The 3 pillars of any great Agile team.
At the end of the day, this framework is really just a blueprint. The stories, the challenges, the successes, that stuff is uniquely yours. So take this structure, apply it to your own experience, and really ask yourself, what's the gold in my answer? What's going to make me unforgettable?